Welcome to the Women Inspire Aspire podcast. In this episode, I talked to Nivedita Chandru about data science. Hi, Nivedita. Thanks for accepting my invite to appear in the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm very good, Venkat. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. What's going on? What's happening on your work and everything?
First of all, thank you for inviting me here. It gives me a lot of happiness to just jump on a call after a while and talk to you about various things. So life is good. School starts tomorrow for the kids, and I'm trying to pivot in my profession from what I'm doing to a different role. So I'm kind of keeping myself busy by doing some coursework on it because I want to become a product manager. So that's kind of what I'm doing currently.
That's so exciting. You said that you are working in data science, right? So
Yeah.
what sparked your interest in data science?
It's quite a long story in the sense that I did not really start data science in the way people typically start. I was after my master's, I was working in Motorola in the mobile division section, and then I wanted to do a PhD, and that's when I got into bioengineering, where I completely wanted to jump track and do research in Alzheimer's disease and how proteins aggregate and things like that. But then I think I kind of bit more than I could chew, so I had to fall back on my comfort zone. And at that point, machine learning was really, really popular. It isn't as popular as it is right now, but it was gaining a lot of traction. So then I thought, okay, since I cannot really do lab experiments, I might as well use algorithms to study protein chemical interaction. So that's kind of how I got into more than data science, I got into machine learning, I would say, wherein I was developing algorithms to study protein chemical interaction. And from there, once I entered the industry, I mean, they use a lot of different terms, and right now they just call it data science. I think soon they'll just term everything as AI. So yeah, that's how I got into data science.
That's a great story. That's really wonderful to know. Can you tell us a bit about some of the complex things that you face on a day-to-day basis in data science, and you wish people could understand better so that they can excel in that job? Because there are so many facets to data science, but trying to understand some core basic difficulties or the complexities that you'd handle and you'd like to address, better so that everybody can handle data science easily.
I think to begin with, the term itself is very vague. People use data science, machine learning, or AI very interchangeably, but there is quite a lot of difference in the way it is accepted in the industry. So I would say when you say data science, it's about just data, in the sense you focus more on getting insights from the data than, let's say, focusing on the algorithm that gets you the insight. So for example, what I would say is, when you think of data science, what statisticians did before is kind of the fancy term for data science. So in a sense, when you talk about challenges, I think people need to really figure out what they want to do. Do they want to focus on, let's say, the model itself? For example, it could be linear regression, it could be logistic regression, it could be deep learning. And when I say algorithm, do you want to look at how to fine tune algorithms? Do you want to understand the fundamentals of it? Do you want to understand the mathematics behind it? Or do you want to just take that and apply to a large data set, or a medium data set, and get insights? And the third thing right now is the in thing, which is Gen AI, right? Where you can use AI to do multiple different things. I think people need to get clarity on what they want to do first, instead of just trying to adopt whatever is the trending term that happens at that particular time. And the biggest challenge, in my opinion, is that people don't have clarity of what they want to do. Even businesses, it's not just individuals, but even businesses, I think they need to prioritize what is the objective, and do they really need data science? Do they really need machine learning algorithms? Or do they just have to show something, right? I mean, you don't really need data science for everything. If you are a manufacturing company, for example, who's just kind of having a production line, and you want to, there's not a lot of data science you need. I mean, maybe in automation, but it all depends on what your objective is. Not everybody needs to get into data science, and not every problem needs a machine learning model. So I think the biggest challenge I see in my day-to-day, in fact, day-to-day job, is that a lot of organizations jump on this bandwagon without knowing if they really need to.
Yeah, that's very true. I see emails every day having this survey or that, talking about
Yeah.
organizations having challenges to figure out where to use Gen AI really, because Gen
Yeah.
AI is so hard, and they want to
Yeah.
show that in their pitch or whatever, but they don't know where to use it. So that's exactly the
Yeah.
problem. And
I think when you're not sure about what you want to do, what they typically do is they recruit a data science team or a machine learning team, as they call it. And then you have these data scientists sitting there with no data. So unless you're a company who is a data first company, which is probably in the last 20 years, right? Where people first capture data and then you build on top of it. Now, if you take legacy companies or even banks, banks, first of all, have very stringent rules surrounding data adoption or just these sophisticated models because you're dealing with very sensitive data. But other companies, I think legacy companies who have been in the industry for probably 70 years who want to jump into this don't understand that they actually aren't capturing the needed data. So you have a bunch of 10 to 15 data scientists sitting there not knowing what to do, and they're just giving instructions as to can we get this data sorted, can we capture this data first of all, only then can you build models, right? Your model is only as good as the data. um, so I think that's the biggest challenge, where people don't understand that you probably don't have the foundational and fundamental blocks to even build a model.
when
And I
it
see that
comes,
quite a bit in Canadian companies, honestly.
And when it
Yeah.
comes to layoffs, the first person that gets layoff is the data science engineer, because they are sitting there to, look forward to collect the data, but
Uh-huh.
unfortunately the data is not there. And so the organization, asks the question, what value is this person bringing to the organization? And then they fire the
Hmm.
engineer.
Oh, really?
But
That's a quite interesting perspective, because I thought right now the data science machine learning team is, they're just kept no matter what. They're kept in the team, in the company, no matter their contribution, because you always need an AI team to show the executives, to show the board that you are on track to do the right thing that the generation demands, kind of a thing. So somewhere maybe data engineers who kind of work with databases, who work with the silos and the places where data is stored, maybe they might take a hit. But I'm just seeing a lot of data scientists and machine learning engineers get away even without doing much work, because the company is not yet ready, right? So I might differ a little bit there, but you might have a point.
yeah, I guess the difference is the titles, to do with the titles, right? So what you call yourself as a data scientist, probably your job is safer. But a data analyst or a data engineer who is really
Correct.
collecting the data might not
Mm-hmm.
be, that safe in the environment. Most of the
Right.
management stays because they are very safe in these kind of environments, but it's really the end engineer who is doing the real work is getting affected, is what I have heard.
Correct. In fact, I would say, as you were talking about data analyst, I would say a company that has both analysts and data scientists is doing something wrong. Because right now, analysts should kind of upskill themselves a little, and even data scientists should kind of know how to query and how to work with Excel sheets. So somewhere, I think these two jobs should merge and become one. Companies having both of them are kind of doing double the work, I think. I mean, they're just having redundancy somewhere.
Probably they might need to work together, is what I feel, because if the data scientist, instead of focusing on fine-tuning the algorithms and finding new ways of
Mm-hmm.
clustering the algorithms and finding new ways of working, instead
Mm-hmm.
of that, if they start looking at just the data or collecting the data, I think their bandwidth might be getting wasted. On the other hand, the data analyst won't have the knowledge of all the algorithms. So there
Right.
should be some kind of intersection involved between these two, and they should, I think, start working together, is what
Yeah.
I feel. But yeah, I mean, that depends on the organization, their culture, and how they want to
Correct. Yes.
things like
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we talked a lot about data science. Thanks. Uh, now, you mentioned that you are interested in music, but most of the time you ended up attending a lot of dance competitions, right? How come
That's
that
a very
happened?
it's a very funny thing. When I was a kid, probably 4 or 5 years, my parents enrolled me in Bharatanatyam, and For some, I couldn't really, I don't remember very clearly, but from what I hear and what I remember, I was really a pampered child in the dance school. And in fact, the management really loved me so much that they were like, we're going to sponsor your Arangetram, we're going to do everything for you, we're going to probably get you overseas programs, you're great and all that, right? And somewhere that kind of pampering didn't go well with the teacher herself, because the management was kind of supporting me a lot. And I was just like 6 years old. So she started getting a little strict, and I think just once she yelled at me, and I got very offended. And I'm like, I'm not going to I'm not going to dance. My parents are someone who do not compel me to do anything. They always let me explore, and so my dad was like, if anybody is going to yell at my kid, she's not going to go. But my mom kept pushing me a little. She's like, why don't you try? It's okay. People are going to scold you. Just give it a try and all that. So I stopped going for my dance classes, but I ended up going for a lot of competitions. So although I didn't learn dance for a very long time, I ended up winning a lot of these competitions, some scholarships and things like that. But somewhere I didn't really like myself up on the stage. I don't know why I didn't really like myself on the stage dancing away. So I had a natural flair for singing. My grandma was a fantastic singer. Um, so I think somewhere her gene stuck with me, and I loved singing, but I never really went for too many competitions. I still went for competitions in music also, but it just gave me a lot of peace. It's, I think most of us who grew up with the movie songs and even, the classical or whatever songs that we heard, and I think it was mostly a distraction too. So I kind of always took to music than dance, although I was rated quite high in dance.
Interesting.
So, yeah. It was an interesting trivia is that my grandmother was so good in singing that in those days, in 1919 or 1920s, she actually acted in a movie with MGR.
Wow.
She, she was not very famous, as they don't let girls act in movies and all that. So my great grandma said, "That's enough. You did a movie, that's fine." And so, yeah, that was her first movie, and somewhere she was touted to be a great singer, but she didn't. Obviously, marriage took over, kids took over, and she kind of didn't, never saw herself to be what she had to be.
It's interesting because those
Yeah.
days, to be an actor, you got to be a singer also because you do all the
Yeah.
roles, right? So,
Yeah.
I can very well relate to your urge to sing because I was in a kind of a program yesterday where they organized some music kind of thing in a local park.
Mhm.
And it was so relieving and so exhilarating to sing alongside with the music. And we were all given the mic as the attendees, and
Oh,
we were
okay.
also asked to sing it. It was so good. And
Mhm.
I do see that you do a lot of tweets on seeing the music competition on TV shows, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so what are those shows? Can you tell us about those?
I don't watch very many now, but I just grew up watching Saptasurangal, Ragamalika, and Apurva Ragangal. I think these were the shows by Mrs. Subhashri Thanikachalam, and she was a pioneer in those reality shows back then. And there was very little drama and a lot of singing. So I grew up watching those shows, and I did participate in a show called it was on Raj TV. Oh God, I don't even remember what it is. Ragam. It was by Mr. Mohan Vaidya, and so that was one of the shows I participated in. But that was more a classical or Carnatic based show. Um, so I grew up watching all of this, but then I think past my college days, Super Singer took over South India, right? So I started watching that very dutifully, and I love the show in a certain sense. These days, I think I have very less tolerance for drama, so I kind of skip all that, but I still love the talent that comes out of the show.
Interesting. Now
Yeah.
it's really wonderful that you're having time while managing your family, your kids, and everything. Let's talk about your motherhood, right? So, what has
Mhm.
been the most surprising thing about motherhood that you didn't expect?
Everything was a surprise, honestly. Mine was not a very conventional decision. I'll tell you why. Because I my husband and myself, we consciously took a decision to have a kid when both of us were doing our PhDs. So we didn't have a
Wow.
stable income. Yeah, we were living off of, let's say, $1,200 per month. But um, we knew we wanted to have a kid at that point, and we thought that was the right time. Of course, we did have the privilege of saying, okay, you know what, if something goes wrong, our parents will cushion us. We have very, very supportive family, both of us. So we had our kid when we were probably earning $1,200, $1,300. But let me tell you, my daughter had the best childhood ever compared to my son, who was born in Miami in a very, nice locality. I was earning really well. My husband was doing his gig and he was earning really well. He had everything in terms of money, but both of us couldn't give him the attention that he deserved.
Okay.
My daughter, on the other hand, she grew up in a college town where the professors would give her their kids things and toys, and we never got her anything. Most of it was donated to us. So that's how she grew up, but she had the best childhood. Yes, I did burn myself in the sense that I would take care of her the whole day and the nights I used to work on my thesis, but still it was worth it. And I think that I wouldn't say it's a challenge, but I realized that your kids put you in your place. They kind of show how double faced you are, because when you teach them something, I've taught my kid a lot of things, right? Like, as any parent, you would start preaching and teaching them. And then at one point, she was like, Mommy, you just taught me this, but you're not doing it yourself. And you're like, oh, yeah, she's right. I'm just kind of preaching it. I'm not practicing any of those things. And half the preaching comes from what you heard from your parents. And it's almost like an automatic thing that happens. You start saying, oh, you shouldn't lie. You should respect your parents. You should respect your elders, or things like that. But I kind of realized I was a rebel myself as a kid, but I was still teaching the norms to my daughter. And she would be like, Mom, no. And she'd be like, you say you look pretty no matter how you are, but then why are you trying to lose weight? Then I had to tell her that, to be healthy, it's not just about appearance. So there's a lot of conflict when you start talking to your kids. You realize that you say something, but you're not practicing it. I think that's been the hardest challenge ever for me. And the second thing would be is not to be judgmental at all. I have judged too many parents when I was just 20 years old. And then I think my son taught me how parenting is very little, but it's mostly themselves. It's how they are made up, and how they react to different things. Because my husband and I, we were very proud of the way we brought up our daughter. And then we realized it's just herself that has bloomed the way she bloomed, and it's nothing to do with our parenting. Because how much ever we tried, our son was wild. He was a tough child in a certain sense. And so I think every day is a learning with them. And as cliched as it sounds, that's kind of the truth, I would say.
Wow, interesting. I was about to ask you the values that you hoped to instill in your children, but looks like your children instilled a lot of values in you. So it's the other
Yeah,
way around.
definitely. But I will also tell you an important factor in my parenting, which is I try to be, at least, as everybody says, as at least 50% of my mom or my dad. And I say this because as a child, right, I would ask my mom, why do you ask me to respect someone when they're not behaving well? And she would never say, no, you have to respect. She would just say, okay, if you think it's not aligning with your thoughts, then give it a pause. Don't be rude to them, just ignore them and walk away. So she never forced me to respect someone. And as a lot of conservative families in India do, she never said, oh, you shouldn't sit for the puja on your menstrual day, you shouldn't do this or that. They were very, very broad minded, in the sense they gave me a lot of freedom. I was a pampered child in a certain sense, because until my 10th grade, my mom was extremely strict, um, very, very strict in terms of the way I behaved, what I ate, how I did my things. They never forced me to study, but I had to do something useful. I couldn't just waste my time. So after my 10th, she was very friendly. She was not my friend, but she was extremely friendly. And somewhere, I think when I teach things to my kids, I try to also let them explore, just like how my parents let me explore. And as you said, I think being on Twitter has taught me a lot of things, in the sense that not everybody's parents are as good as the parents I got. And that's something I took for granted all through my childhood. So I try to be, at least, aware of what kids these days need, and how I shouldn't push myself too much on them. I don't force them to pray too much. I don't force them to you know, somehow or, you know, desperately connect them to the Indian roots. I don't try any of those. Somewhere I just think whatever I do, they look at me and probably learn. And if they really like it, they're going to learn it. If not, I let them choose what they want to. So that's been my approach. But even that is very hard. My daughter is kind of my, um, you know, she's my check. She keeps me in check, and she tells me that I am having double standards when I say something and do something else. So yeah, I've become a better person being a mother, I would say.
It's all about the human dynamics and nuances, as you say, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I hope that you are not overthinking about it anymore.
I do. Every day I think about human relationships because I think somewhere we're all product of our experiences and our environment. And I've come to a stage where I just feel nobody's wrong. I mean, I'm not going to say everybody's right, but nobody's wrong. There are two different things if you kind of understand what I'm saying.
Yes,
So I feel I'm trying to always justify why a person did a certain thing. Even if it's wrong, I'm like, you know what? Maybe they have a reason why they did that. And I think I've come to a stage where I'm not able to get extremely angry at anyone because I keep thinking maybe if I was in a situation, I would do the same thing. So somewhere I'm at a I don't know. I don't have a decisive reason as to why things happen the way they happen, but somewhere nothing troubles me anymore. I've kind of reached that stage, I think. I do get angry. I do get, I'm a very short-tempered person, honestly, but I get back pretty fast because I know that there's a reason behind everything, and I try. That's the way I heal, and that's the way I cope with people's behavior.
Interesting. Just a week back, I had a very enlightening thought that most of my judgments are not required. It's like unnecessarily passing a judgment on somebody on the street, on somebody which is not at all required. If I could just shut up my mind and just let things be, I think most of my energy will be saved. So
But there's also a difference between being, you know, people confuse this for being selfish. It's not selfish. I think you take care of yourself and you just try to do good to others. That'll be better than you passing judgment on every single thing, right? Whether it's religion or especially, I think religion is creating a lot of disturbance right now. And I think if your faith is able to keep you sane, if it's a crutch for you to heal and move on in life, or if it's a crutch for you to do better in life, that is all there is to it. And beyond that, if as a community, if this binds you, and as a community, if you're able to do something good, then it is good. If not, I don't see any purpose of people fighting over different groups. And somewhere I just find it very silly, and the way they relate everything to politics and everything to religion and everything to certain categorization is kind of, I think it's just above my head, right? Thankfully, I don't get irritated or agitated by it anymore.
Yeah, it's about the new thing, right? For the past 10 years, it will pass.
Yeah.
Everything has a phase and it will pass. And, so yeah, there is a thin line between being selfish and not being selfish. Somebody told me this very beautifully. They said that if somebody is trying to physically attack you or physically affect you, then that is the point you need to act. That is a point in which you need to do something about it. Till that point, you could manage the situation a bit, is what they said. I think it makes sense to me to handle it that way.
Absolutely. I think that's what I teach my son is still small. He just turned 5. But that's what I tell my daughter too. At school, if someone is going to taunt you for your looks, for your, being nerdy or, being a certain way, ignore. You can't really, you can only say so much to everybody. And if you start replying to every one of them, you're just going to waste your time. But if ever there comes to a point where they harm you, or you feel so violated, or you feel so upset that you might harm yourself, that's the time you need to speak to us, or take action. Otherwise, try to ignore. But always, I mean, as parents, we're always there to discuss, but apart from that, you shouldn't worry too much, is kind of what I say. And it'll be very surprising to hear this, Venkat. I don't know if you've seen this around you, but kids these days are too mature. And the reason I'm saying this is because my daughter and her friend, they always wanted to start a YouTube channel. They want to be content creators. And I'm like, you know what? Don't put yourself out there so soon. You're very young. And the reply both of them gave me was that, you know what, mom, we know it. And the reason we want to do it is because we feel happy. If people hate us, it's okay because not everybody in the world can love us. And this was, she told me this when she was 7 years old. So I think they are a little ahead of their curve in certain aspects, and I'm happy for that. But yeah, I completely agree. Sometimes it's just good to ignore and just take action when it's really needed.
Great. You were a CSK fan, right? Um,
Did you just say where? I am.
can you tell us whether it is because of your affinity to Chennai City or because CSK is really playing well?
No, absolutely, it's because of the city. If I'm sure Rajasthan was playing great last time, and I still had, I still had affection for Rajasthan because it had some Chennai boys, or I still had affection for KKR because except for Gautam Gambhir, I mean, I still wouldn't hold anything personal against him. But since Venkatesh Iyer was there, because Varun was there, anywhere you see Chennai, you have some affinity. So it's purely based on the fact that I am from Chennai. I grew up there. At least half my life was in Chennai. So yeah, it's just plainly for those reasons.
What is it about Chennai that you have fond memories of and you will carry it forever?
Chennai for me is all about my wonderful childhood that I had with my parents. I lived there until I was 21. Great memories because I was not, let's say, um, I was not a girl who grew up driving around in a car or something, but my mom and we used to have long walks. We used to walk a lot, whether it's from school back home or between my grandma's place and my place. And we just walked a lot. And then during those walks, we had a lot of long chats. We used to stop in between for those Arvind flavored milk. Our favorite place was Saravana Bhavan. So I will always vote for it. I know it's gone down the drain, but I still love it. And just the time I spent with my family. My cousins used to visit us in Chennai, and kind of Chennai was the anchor for the entire family. My grandparents lived in Chennai too. So summer holidays meant my cousins would come down from Delhi and Pune, and when they were in Ooty, they would come down from there, and we just had a lot of fun. And I also remember Chennai for the various extracurricular that I did. I've traveled from venue to venue doing my dance and music competitions and just meeting a lot of other school kids. And my mom is she's still a fan of sunrise, so we go to the marina to watch sunrise. I haven't done it too many times because my parents started doing it after I left India. But I've gone to the beach quite a few times. So yeah, Chennai is all about the different places I've been. And of course, although I talk about these music and dance festival during December, I've probably been very active only for 2 3 years when I was in college. Before that, I didn't really attend as many festivals. But yeah, it's also about the food, the art. But having said all of that, I'm right now in a place in my life where nothing feels like home. It's a little sad. But when I go back to Chennai, when I visit Chennai, it doesn't feel like home anymore because most of it has changed. And none of my friends live there. I have found some great friends through Twitter now. So maybe next trip might be interesting. But I don't really connect myself as much as I did probably 10 years back or 15 years back. So that's probably my maybe I'm doing a forced connection with CSK, to not let go of my roots somehow. Maybe cricket is one of those ways I'm doing it. Because if it is music or dance, it's still not I can't really view it through Zoom or something. But CSK is great. It still keeps me connected to my roots, I think.
Understood. So I
Yeah.
think we are coming to the end of the podcast. We talked about a whole lot of things. Thank you so much for all that. Anything that you would like to ask me?
I think we might have briefly chatted, but I think it's lovely you started this podcast and seeing all your guests. I do see a trend, but would you like to kind of elaborate on how you've made this a platform? Would you like to comment on that?
Actually, I like talking a lot. I don't know if you know about it. I'm a person who likes to talk a lot. I like interacting with people. I
Mm-hmm.
found that giving the voice for people to express themselves
Correct.
is something I would like to do through the
Hmm.
podcast, and podcast is a great venue for doing that. I think
I'm curious to know why you did not really pick on when I think the point I was trying to get at is that you chose, as you said, maybe we are connected on Twitter and we've spoken a few times, but what made you not rope in big names is what I would ask. What motivated you to probably chat with common folks?
Yeah, common folks also have great points, like what you spoke about, all those great points today.
Hmm.
So it's great to take tips and advices from everyone. I mean, it's not specific about being a celebrity or a common person. I speak to different kinds of people, all walks of life. Great advices and great things come from different kinds of people.
Thank you.
So
It was lovely talking to you. And I also realized that to get your thoughts coherent and to actually be convincing on a call is not as easy as I thought it would be. But thank you so much for
really,
giving me this opportunity. Yeah, I mean, I do talk informally with a lot of my friends, but you do know that you have to be a little conscious when you're talking for a podcast, right? Like you just can't ramble off for a long time. So it yeah, it's a first for me, so hopefully I have more. And as I told you, I think I was trying to do something myself, and hope that happens soon and we get to chat again.
yeah, I wish you all the best on that, and all the best for your life. Thank you so much for attending the podcast and talking to me. Take care.
Thank you, Venkat. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.
That was a great podcast with Nivedita Chandru. Please subscribe to this channel and follow it for more awesome podcasts. Opinions expressed by the guests in this podcast are their own. The host or the sponsors of the podcast do not condone the opinions expressed by the guests or the actions arising out of those opinions. Any decisions or actions that the listeners might take as a result of listening to this podcast must be based on their own judgment and will be at their own risk. The podcast host or their sponsors will not be held responsible for the consequences of any actions and or decisions taken as a result of any content in this podcast.